What do you do when the one person you counted on the most just stands there while someone else publicly tears you down? And worse, that moment is just the beginning. The promises we made were already splintering. Now came the silence. The war no one speaks of, but both sides feel. The instant he stepped up to our table, something shifted inside me. It wasn't fear. It wasn't disbelief. It was that deep, bone-cold fury that settles in when the truth you've been denying finally stares back, undeniable. We were seated at Valmont's, one of Zurich's most upscale dining rooms. Soaring ceilings, gentle golden light, and the subtle hum of a baby grand weaving through the air. The kind of place that wore sophistication like a second skin. But that night, it didn't feel elegant. It felt like a prison dressed in velvet and gold. Sitting across from me was my wife, Celine. Her midnight black hair spilled down one shoulder in soft waves. The wine-red dress she wore molded to her frame like it had been made just for her, elegant and precise, like everything else about her. Yet her eyes had gone somewhere far away. Distant. Empty. 4 months now, she'd been like this. Late nights at the firm. Whispered calls behind locked doors. Sudden, unexplained business trips. The writing had been on the wall. I just hadn't been ready to read it. This dinner was meant as a last stand. A chance, however small, to reconnect. Maybe find the version of us we'd lost. But that hope disintegrated the moment a shadow loomed beside our table. He was tall, mid-30s, all muscle and smugness, dressed in a custom charcoal suit that looked surgically tailored. He stood there like he owned the building. "Celine," he said with a sly tone, completely disregarding my presence. "Didn't expect to run into you tonight." She froze. Her wine glass lingered halfway to her lips. "Nolan," she breathed. Not surprise, guilt. I'd never heard of this man before. But the way they looked at each other told me everything. This wasn't some random encounter. This was unfinished business. He reached across the table toward her with unshaken boldness. "Why waste time with a tie like him?" he said with a sneer. "Come dance. Let me remind you what a man is supposed to be." The restaurant went still. Conversations faded. Silverware stilled. All attention turned our way. Celine didn't move. Her hand remained lightly clasped in his. I rose slowly, the scrape of my chair against the polished floor loud and harsh. "You've got 3 seconds to let go of her hand," I said quietly. He turned to me, amused. "Or what?" The only answer he got was the brutal sound of bones snapping under pressure. His scream tore through the silence as he collapsed, clutching his hand, face twisted in agony. Celine leapt to her feet. "Cade, what are you doing?" I crouched beside him, my voice low and measured. "This is the beginning," I said. "You picked the wrong man." He looked up at me, pale and sweating. "You'll regret this." I stood and turned to Celine. "We're leaving." She hesitated, caught between panic and humiliation, but followed, her heels echoing behind me as the murmurs trailed us out like smoke. The ride home was a graveyard of silence. Not a word. Not a glance. Just the quiet that follows a funeral, the death of trust. Back at the house, I pulled into the garage and killed the engine. I didn't look at her. "Start talking." She shrank into the passenger seat, her voice thin. "Cade, I don't know where to begin." "Try the truth," I said, turning to meet her eyes. "Who is he? And how long?" Tears welled. But my sympathy had burned out months ago. 6 months, she whispered. "It started 6 months ago." I sat there, numb. Not even angry anymore. Just hollow. So tonight was what? A setup? Or were you hoping he'd stake his claim in front of me? "No," she gasped. "I didn't know he'd be there. I swear." "Don't insult me, Celine," I said sharply. "Your face said everything." She broke, sobbing into her hands like shame could fix what she'd broken. But I wasn't handing out comfort. I wasn't there to patch her wounds. The next morning, as Zurich's skyline shimmered under the dawn, I sat in my office overlooking the city, not plotting revenge for revenge's sake, but because betrayal demands reckoning. I started with Nolan. In under 48 hours, I had a full dossier. Friends in finance opened doors. His luxury lifestyle? Smoke and mirrors. Leased cars. Rented jets. Watches bought on credit. His entire brand built on deception and debt. I assembled it all, forged signatures, hidden lawsuits, blackmail payments, and sent it to a journalist who specialized in ruining reputations in just one headline. The night of Zurich's annual elite gala, Nolan was unmasked in front of the city's most influential people. The media exploded. Financier Nolan Bishop exposed in massive fraud scandal. Bank accounts frozen. Properties seized. His name became toxic overnight. Next was Celine. Screenshots. Phone logs. Hotel receipts. I compiled a clean, damning file. No drama. Just proof. When I served her divorce papers, she looked at me like someone gasping for air. "You don't have to destroy me," she pleaded. "You already did," I replied. Our prenup left her with nothing. She tried to fight it, until I laid the evidence before her. She skipped the next court date. Months went by. Her social life evaporated. Friends disappeared. Her name dropped from invitation lists. Even her own family fell silent, too embarrassed to defend her. Nolan vanished. Whispers placed him somewhere in Bali, ducking creditors and hiding from lawsuits. As for me, I thrived. My company expanded. The home grew quiet, but it was peaceful. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see a broken man. I saw someone rebuilt. Someone still standing. One evening at a charity event, I met Isla Duval, a historian from Vienna. Brilliant, kind, uninterested in wealth or status. We spoke all night. Her laughter softened corners in me I hadn't realized were still sharp. Later, standing on my balcony with the city glowing beneath me, the same city that once bore witness to my humiliation, I raised a glass to the stars. Betrayal leaves scars. But I used the wound as a blueprint for something stronger. Because not all endings are tragedies. Some are just the beginning of a story finally worth living. Sometimes, the worst kind of betrayal clears the path for the best version of yourself to rise. Don't just survive. Rebuild. And then rise higher than they ever imagined you could.